Pull up a chair. Welcome to Beyond Belief, the place where we rediscover the heart of Jesus. I'm really glad you're here. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you didn't belong at the table? Like everyone else seemed welcome, but somehow you weren't sure there was a seat for you? Today, we're talking about something beautifully simple. A table. Because when you read the Gospels, especially Luke, you begin to notice a pattern. Jesus was almost always either going to a meal, at a meal, or coming from a meal. If you were looking for him in first century Israel, you probably didn't need to check the synagogue first. You needed to check the dinner invitation list. And that tells us something important about the heart of God. Now, a few years ago, I was struggling to feel like I belonged anywhere. On the outside, things looked fine. Work was steady. I had good people around me, and there was purpose to my life. But inside, something still felt missing. One evening, I walked past my kitchen table and stopped. I looked at the empty chair across from me, and suddenly this wave of unworthiness hit me. I remember thinking, who am I to sit at a table of grace? I've made mistakes. I've messed things up too many times. Maybe you felt that too. Like you don't quite belong. Like there's no seat for you at God's table. The truth is, the seat is already there, waiting. Not because you earned it, not because you're perfect, but because of grace. Grace doesn't demand perfection. It simply invites you to show up. I know I'm not the only one who's felt this way. Many of us struggle to believe we're truly worthy of God's love. We look at our mistakes. We compare ourselves to people who seem to have everything together. And quietly, we wonder if we've disqualified ourselves. But underneath all of that, there's a hunger to belong, a hunger for grace, a hunger for someone to look at us and say, you belong here. When was the last time you felt truly seen? Not for what you achieved, not for what you produced, but simply for who you are. That's the kind of love God offers. And the beautiful truth is, we're all invited, every one of us. Let's think about Jesus for a moment. In Luke chapter 5, Jesus meets a man called Levi. Levi was a tax collector, and in that world, that meant something. Tax collectors worked for the Roman government. They were seen as traitors, corrupt, and spiritually unclean. People avoided them. But Jesus does something surprising. He calls Levi, and Levi responds by hosting a large dinner. A table full of tax collectors and outsiders. Of course, the religious leaders weren't happy. They asked, "Why do you eat and drink with tax collectors and sinners?" And Jesus answers, "It's not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick." Think about that for a moment. Jesus didn't wait for Levi to change first. Jesus sat down at the table before the transformation happened. Grace came first, and only then did everything begin to change. Then there's Zacchaeus in Luke 19. You probably remember him. Small in stature, big reputation. Another tax collector, another outsider. When Jesus passes through Jericho, Zacchaeus climbs a tree just to see him. And Jesus stops, looks up, and says something unexpected. "Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today." Jesus invited himself over. And again, the people started grumbling. Why is he going to the house of a sinner? But Zacchaeus didn't need a lecture. He didn't need a list of rules. He needed the presence of Jesus. And something powerful happened at that table. Zacchaeus stood up and said, "I'll give half of my possessions to the poor, and if I've cheated anyone, I'll repay them 4 times. It wasn't a sermon that changed him. It was the grace sitting close enough to touch his heart. Sometimes transformation doesn't happen in a courtroom. Sometimes it happens around a table. And then there's Peter. Peter, who denied Jesus 3 times. Imagine the weight of that failure. After the crucifixion, Peter goes back to fishing, back to something familiar, back to something safe. But one morning, after the resurrection, Jesus appears on the shore. And what is he doing? He's cooking breakfast. The risen Son of God, standing by a charcoal fire, preparing a meal. When the disciples come ashore, Jesus simply says, "Come and have some breakfast." No lecture, no anger, just an invitation. And over that meal, Jesus restores Peter. 3 denials, 3 affirmations. Failure didn't disqualify him. Grace restored him. Now let's be honest. Dinner invitations can feel intimidating sometimes. Which fork do I use? Did I overdress? Why are there 3 spoons? And sometimes we treat faith the same way. Am I spiritual enough? Do I know enough Bible? What if I say the wrong thing? But here's the truth. The only thing you bring to God's table is your hunger. Not your resume. Not your religious performance. Just your hunger. And Jesus said, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled." Not evaluated, not graded, filled. Maybe today you feel like Levi. Your past feels complicated, and you're not sure you deserve a seat. Maybe you feel like Zacchaeus, curious, interested, but still watching from a distance. Or maybe you feel like Peter, ashamed of something you wish you could undo. The good news is, Jesus doesn't begin in a courtroom. He begins with a table. And right now, the invitation is simple. Pull up a chair. He's already there. Grace isn't a one-time invitation. It's a way of life. Meal after meal. Moment after moment. God continues to draw near to us, transforming, restoring, welcoming. And as we learn to sit at His table, we begin to invite others to sit with us. Because the table of Jesus is always bigger than we think. So, may you discover that grace tastes better than shame. May you experience the nearness of Jesus in ordinary moments. May your kitchen table become holy ground. May your home become a place where others encounter mercy. May you never believe the lie that you are too far gone. And may you hear the quiet sound of a chair sliding across the floor and recognize it as an invitation. Thank you for listening to Beyond Belief. Carry this with you into the week. Share a meal, extend grace, have a deeper conversation across the table, and, if this encouraged you, share it with someone who might feel like they're standing outside spiritually. Because the truth is, there's always space at the table. Until next time, may your faith move beyond belief and into relationship. Pull up a chair. Jesus is already there. God bless.